Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mike here. I just wanted to do my third vlog on San Diego Code School. And, I was thinking about what I wanted to do before, or what I wanted to talk about, I should say, before I started doing this vlog. And in my first and second vlog, I actually covered more of like a higher level of how my weeks were going. So kind of briefly just kind of going over what I was doing in the curriculum, but not really giving any specifics. So I thought for maybe this time around, I would try to get a lot more specific with some of the things I was working on. So that being said, this whole past week was purely on Node JavaScript for me. That's where I was at in the curriculum. And if you guys aren't familiar with Node.js, it's essentially just a server-side language that allows you to create servers so you can send and get information from other servers. So it allows you to build out that functionality. But that being said, um, it was my first time learning about Node.js as well as any server-side language for that matter. And that involved me watching a lot of videos on Node.js, how to actually create servers, how to import middleware into them. How do you actually use GET requests with servers? That was a big one. Um, Definitely referencing the Node.js documentation is super crucial. Um, I definitely can't recommend that enough because I'll just put it like this: like you don't want to simply rely on the videos that are given to you in the curriculum because although they are super helpful themselves, um, there are going to be projects in the curriculum where you're like, dude, like I've never seen this shit and I don't know how to tackle it. So, um, excuse my language, but anyways, that's just generally how I felt. So, that being said, try to be really resourceful when you're working on any language. It doesn't have to just be Node.js, it could be Angular or Express or anything, right? So, and that was another thing that we had learned about too was learning how to use Express. So, to get more specific, in the first project that I did, I had to build an HTTP server that essentially I built that using Express and Node. And the whole point of it was just to create a server that I can actually build out to make it go live. And I embedded some messages in there too, but that was pretty much what that first server or first project, I should say, covered. I did a few more projects after that, and that one also involved utilizing Express, applying middleware like Morgan and things like that, learning how to import those things. By the third project, I felt like there was it was definitely really challenging because although we were given videos and like certain walkthroughs on how to basically create a server from a very basic configuration standpoint, you're going to definitely have times where you're going to run into projects and you are going to literally feel like I've never seen this before, I have no idea how to tackle it. And that's when, first of all, try to get an idea of what it's asking you to do for the project and then break that into steps. It's been my experience that whenever I look at something as a whole, it can be super overwhelming and, kind of just daunting to be able to tackle it like that. So, first advice is break it into steps. If you're not sure what the project is even really asking you to do, that's where you go ask for help, right? You get like clarification on what am I actually supposed to be doing with this project, because there's times where I felt like that, where I didn't know exactly what it was asking me to do or build out. So do that. Second part is, be super resourceful. By that, I mean Googling everything. If you're not sure what anything is or any particular thing, just Google it. Chances are somebody's already asked the question somewhere on the internet and you'll find a response either on Stack Overflow or just some random, forums. So definitely utilize Google to try to get you the information that you want to know about. So another thing that I really want to emphasize is when I was going through my projects, I definitely had a hard time tackling everything on my own. So another resource that I would highly recommend is your neighbor. people that sit next to you, don't be, shy to ask them questions, because they might know the answer to something that you're getting really stuck on, and it might just be as simple as a yes or no, right? Does this do that, or does this do that? And they'll be able to validate that for you sometimes. And obviously, if they can't answer your question, then there's plenty of other people to ask. So definitely want to emphasize like being resourceful. Try to figure it out on your own, but if you can't, ask other people. There's also more senior people that are available too to ask if you still can't get an answer to your question. So definitely utilize that. Um, Another thing too that I wanted to emphasize is like I had a basic idea of what like HTTP requests and responses were, just because I had took a basic and advanced networking course back when I was at Cal State Northridge, and that kind of helped me out a little bit in terms of at least understanding how servers work, and from a basic network standpoint how they work. But I think programming it is just a totally different ball game. um, but it's doable. Like it's going to be challenging for sure, without a doubt. Boot camps are notorious for being definitely more difficult and challenging than they are just easy to get through, right? Or else, what would be the point of attending one? Um, so we there you did 5 projects on Node.js. Did HTTP server, Express. We worked with some CSV files to import that data, export it onto a website. Um, learning how to return status codes and apply middleware and all that stuff that I was saying before, utilizing other APIs as well. Also deploying it on something called the Now command line interface, where basically it's kind of just like a web hosting service that grabs all your data and literally just throws it on kind of like another local server that Now uses. So learning how to use that as well was really good and useful. But I feel like I'm doing pretty good so far in the curriculum, but it's also been very mentally challenging, and um, it's not easy. But I think this is one of those things where if you go to any boot camp, especially even San Diego Code School, is just kind of have that mindset of like, look, this is going to be challenging, but if this is something you really want to do, then I would just say just go for it, because you always have that what if you don't. So um, be resourceful. Google anything that you need help with. If you need help with stuff you can't find on Google, use your neighbors. Ask senior level engineers for help. That's because that's literally how it's going to go down in the real world. It's like if you start off as a junior level engineer, you're going to need to ask certain questions sometimes that, you just don't have the answer to. So I think it's important to get familiar with doing that right now in the boot camp, because it's only going to benefit you, and you'll be able to carry on those skills when you get into the real workplace. So that being said, comparing this week to the past couple weeks is, I guess you can say I'm starting to feel a little bit more acclimated, but acclimated doesn't translate to being comfortable. So, still very much uncomfortable, but I feel like I'm getting more comfortable being uncomfortable, which is, it's good, because I think that's the mindset that you're going to need to adopt when you become a software engineer. You're always going to have to learn new things. The stack is always going to change on you. We're learning the MERN stack right now, which is MongoDB, or we will learn the MERN stack throughout the curriculum, which is MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. But that, 5 years from now, that might not even be the case. So I think it's important to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because it's going to allow you to position yourself mentally to be able to tackle new challenges and not be afraid to tackle those challenges. So learning a lot of material, and the next thing I have coming up is React. So I'll be doing a lot of research on that to learn what it is, how it works, how things function. But I'll cover that more next week, though. So until next time, you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. But until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.